Welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live podcast.
And we are the Loxecutioners. We're going to be eating lightning and talking thunder and power bombing you right in the ear holes today.
Welcome to the Daily Grow with myself, Todd Locks, the People's Champ. Happy freaking Wednesday. I swear yesterday was the Mondayest of Tuesdays, and today is sort of the Mondayest of Wednesdays. I'm not sure what I know what that explain what that means, but I think you all know. Just gonna continue on with our series on Mental Health Month. That is what May is, National Mental Health Month. We've done. I've given some of my helpful hints. I think on it helps my life be a little happier. We've had some people come on that have struggled with mental health. We've had people come on that are experts or that work in the field or that see it every day. So today I'm incredibly excited to have on is Aaron Kilpatrick. Aaron is a local principal. He reached out to me and he just talked about what he sees with mental health in our schools. And he talked about how he's a giant proponent of mental health as an overall wellness for your physical, spiritual, as well as your mental health. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Aaron on. What's up, bud? Welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grill. How's it going, brother?
It's going great. I appreciate you having me, man. I'm a fan. I will say. I've listened to you and Ross a little bit there on the Eat, Slay, Live podcast for a while. I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks a lot.
We all miss Ross on here. I like that beard, but we just talked about it. I think you just came on to outbeard me, I think.
Hey, I've been putting in work for a few months now. This is the longest I've ever let it go, and I'm enjoying it. So I'm gonna keep it.
It looks good, just in time for summer, right?
Exactly.
Hey, and also your wife joined my high school weightlifting, my women's weightlifting group a couple months ago.
Hey, man, she's loving it, and she has nothing but great things to say about you. And I'll tell you this: you probably were out enjoying maybe the holiday weekend, but I showed up at the circuit on Saturday morning.
What that? Yeah. I cannot believe it, because I wasn't giving her crap, but we were talking about you hadn't been here, whatever, and I have this long spiel about like why dudes don't show up as much as the ladies here. But that's a different story.
Right.
I had no idea you were here Saturday. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been kind of out of my routine for a while, and I needed something to kickstart it. And I'm happy to say I will say this about your place, man. First time ever going there, but I was blown away by the number of people who are regulars who reached out just to say welcome, or here, let me help you, let me give you some advice. It's a testament to what you got going on down there, man. It's awesome.
I love it that you say it, because I always get on here and say that. I go, man, what makes the place great here is just the core group of people that we have that just, you know what I'm saying? They're like, they're cheering you on. A lot of people are like worried about coming here and getting judged, man. It's the exact opposite, man. They want other people to find like their health journey and start it. So I'm glad you said it. I'm sad I wasn't here. So you got, no matter what you thought, you got to come back when I'm here.
I'll be back. I would have been embarrassed for you to see me then. So.
No. You know, that's what I always say. As I was telling Sarah this, your wife, I was saying, you know, like us guys, we're embarrassed. We're scared to go out and do something sort of our comfort zone and look bad doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to look terrible. People are going to judge. And you know what I'm saying? That's why we get more women in here than dudes. Girls are like, you know what? They don't, they're tougher than us. And two, they're not worried about looking dumb or that whole thing like we are. We're all like, I'm not saying, I'm the same freaking way, brother.
Yeah.
First of all, where are you? I don't know where you're from, Aaron. You sound like you have a little Southern accent to me.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a little bit of it hanging on. I actually was born and raised in the Panhandle of Florida. I'm from a little farm town called Sneads, Florida. No one's ever heard of it unless they've met me and heard me talk about it. For the most part,
I gotcha.
Yeah, it's maybe about an hour west of Tallahassee, to give you a pinpoint there.
So you're a principal. So when was obviously a teacher before that, I'm assuming?
Yeah. So, I mean, I got started late in education. I just actually wrapped up my 15th year in the Bethalto School District. I've only worked.
Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it. I love it here. Only worked in this school district, but I left Florida at 21, joined the Navy, spent 6 years in the Navy. That's how I met my wife, Sarah. She's born and raised in Alton. We served on an aircraft carrier together out on the West Coast. And,
hold on. So
Oh, yeah.
you guys on an aircraft together in the Navy. You got to have some game to pick up like one of the few females that are on there, right? I mean, what was the guy to girl ratio on there?
It wasn't great. And of course, that's who knows what it's like now. But back then, yeah, the ratio wasn't awesome. And we were on that same aircraft carrier together for close to 3 years, probably a good 2.5 years before we ever even met each other. And we didn't meet each other on the ship itself. We met out in the community there, and just kind of recognized each other. And the rest is history, I guess they say. It's been
that's how big that's how how just tremendously big those aircraft carriers are, right?
Oh yeah, you unless you've seen one up close, you really can't even begin to imagine it. One of the moments I'll remember for the rest of my life is walking up that pier for the first time when I got there, because it's just the most massive thing you've ever laid your eyes on.
It's like its own little city, its own little town, whatever, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. When it was when we were out on deployment, and that would be ship's company plus air wing crew that we'd pick up down in San Diego, you'd have over 5,000 people on board that ship.
Wow, that's crazy. So when did you know education is what you wanted to go into?
I tell you what, it's like I said, I got a late start. I joined the Navy at 21 because that's a story for another episode. It wasn't making great choices.
I'm guessing you're looking for some direction. That's what I'm going to go with.
Absolutely. I had zero direction. And luckily for me, I was relatively intelligent and was able to do well in the ASVAB and pick my job in the military. And that kind of steered me in a good direction. But I spent 6 years trying to figure out, is this something I want to do as a career? And it didn't take me long to realize that it was not. Sea life isn't for everyone. But so as I knew, once I made the decision I was going to get out, I started thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I've got GI Bill, I'll be able to go to school, but what do I want to do? Because when I go to school, because the first time I tried, it didn't work out real well. When I do go back to college, I want it to be, I want it to matter. So I just got to thinking about what can I do? What do I enjoy? And it really came back to, I was inspired by a teacher and a coach. I think you'll find a lot of people in education will say the same thing. They were inspired by a teacher. They had a high school English teacher. Tony Beecham was his name. Great guy. He made me want to be better than what I was on the football field in the classroom. And I just had, I thought maybe I can do that for someone else, just inspire them to be a little bit better. And it just kind of, things just happened. I chose special education as my teaching career, and just kind of lucked into position here in Bethalto. Like I said, that's maybe a story for another day, but it was just the desire to want to make a difference with people, and kids are great people to make differences with, because they can carry it forever and then pay it forward.
Why special education? Did something wrong with that?
So, and I really looking back, I'm not going to lie. Part of it was looking at what the career field looked like at the time, and seeing that men in this field of special education it was a need. Special education is a wide spectrum, from kids who are just have maybe some learning disabilities. Maybe they're self-contained in a classroom with other kids with IEPs, or maybe their IEP allows them to push into a regular classroom, where you've got the more profoundly disabled. You've got emotional disorders, which, kind of lends itself to what our topic is today. And I actually did wind up going into that alternative education. And my first few years in the school district were working with kids who had, some pretty significant behavioral and emotional disorders. And that, I really enjoyed that, because I felt like it was the kids who didn't really get a fair shake at life, and then if they got somebody in their corner that can say, no, you can do it. I've got your back, maybe you don't think you can, but I do, and just somebody to push them. I was really drawn to that. And I think that's what led me into special education. And again, I tell people all the time, there's a lot of luck involved in how I've gotten to where I am today, but I'll take it. I love what I do.
That's freaking awesome. Now, how did you know you wanted to go? When did you decide you wanted to go into admin? When being a principal, that's admin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it wasn't something that I necessarily thought I could do right out the gate. But we talked about my wife, Sarah. She has been the catalyst, really for everything I've done. She's always seen more in me than I've seen in myself, I think, and she told me, don't quit going to school. Just go right back, get into an admin program. If you stop going to school, you're going to get out of that routine and you're not going to do it. So just keep going. Cause and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to be a principal. And she's like, no, you'll be a great principal, right? You're doing this already. And she looked into the program, she found that McKendree University, that's where I got my master's from. They had a program where I could work during the day at the Simpson Center, which is where I taught. And then I could take classes once a week up at Alton High through McKendree University. And I just kept going. And again, things just worked out really well for me. But I do believe I found my calling, and I really enjoy what I do. But I got to give most of that credit to her, because I would not have continued, going into administration so quickly. And I probably would have had a much harder time getting back into it if not for her.
Everybody I know from the Bethalto School District says you're a great principal. So I think she was right in that assessment of you. Now, like we're on the mental health thing today, and like when you and I talked through Messenger, we were talking about like how you're a big proponent of mental health as part of your overall wellness. Where did that come from? Is this a new journey, or has it been something that you've been thinking about, studying, or whatever for a long time?
It's relatively new for me. I don't know. Here, especially over really, I hate to bring up the C word, but since COVID, I've done a lot.
All right, I bring it up a lot, and it's relevant. It's extremely relevant.
I look back on it and I say, I think what a terrible time. Especially personally, professionally, it was a rough go, but a lot of good came from it. It really did. And some of that being stuck at home and not really knowing what the future holds, in those early days, we didn't know anything. And I just really got to doing a lot of thinking about myself, my body, my health, and where I wanted to be down the road, do I want to be a 65-year-old man who can barely get up and down the steps, or do I want to be the 65-year-old man who's lapping kids at the track, and I just kind of started getting back. I've always been interested in fitness, but the mental health side of it is relatively new for me. Started listening to some podcasts, reading some books, and yeah, I'm very interested in it and continue to learn every day about the impact of mental health on your overall wellness.
When you get on that kick of like self-improvement and bettering yourself, it's amazing, isn't it? Trying to listen to podcasts and trying to read books and just doing everything. It's, we have seen, I think here in the last few years, a movement of people trying to be better, trying to just always working on themselves, where I feel like in the past, people just be like, man, I am what I am. This is what I'm going to be. But now you just see a lot of people on that self-improvement path, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's your body, it's your mind, it's your life, and you only get one of each, and you can do with it what you please, but it's like an investment, all of it, physical, whether it's, diet, exercise, sleep, whatever, it's all an investment in your future, because at some point I'm going to be done doing this. And I'm going to be at home, and I'm either going to be able to enjoy my retirement and hopefully my grandchildren and things like that, or I'm not, because I didn't, put the time and the effort in the early years. So it really, it's as much of an investment for me as anything in my future, because I just turned 47 in April. It's not old, but it's also not young.
You better have not said that's old. You better.
I'm to that point where I'm starting to realize, okay, I've got this much time, hopefully, and here's how I want it to go. This is how I want it to be. So it's just, and again, things like this, I listen to you and Ross talk on your podcast, all those old episodes when you guys were just starting, and a lot of those talk was just about self-improvement, whether it's your businesses like you guys, or your career, or your health, or whatever it is, just getting inspiration from all different places, whether it's, I'm not a big reader, but I did stumble upon a book that's really meant for educators called Educator Wellness, that really last summer I read. I would read it every morning, and it really, really got me focused in on the importance of the mental health when it comes to wellness.
Now, what have you seen, like coming back, like you said, coming back from COVID, what have you seen with students? I mean, and you talked about in the messaging before, is not only just students' mental health, but also parents' student health and your staff's student health.
Yeah, all of us. I mean, it's, COVID did a lot of stuff to a lot of people, and like I said, there's plenty of good we can take from it. But in schools, what we saw is, school age kids are used to getting up and coming to school every day and socializing, interacting with each other. Like I say this all the time, that, while reading and writing and math are incredibly important, in the development of a child and their education, some of the other social aspects of school are just as important. Learning to recess, learning to play with others and play fair and get along and resolve conflict in a peaceful way. Those things are important. Learning to follow directions and be a part of a group or a part of a team. Like, those are things you learn in school that aren't necessarily on the forefront. They're not the things that get posted in the paper or talked about. They're not test scores or things like that. But those are really important things that kids learn. And really the only place to learn them is in this setting. You can't learn this sitting at home, on a Zoom with your class. It's just not possible. You can't learn it, and nothing against anyone who decides to homeschool their child, but you're missing out on a lot of the social aspects of school. And frankly, when you get out into the real world, that's as much a part of it as anything. Being able to get along with people, work well with others, that it's incredibly important. And when we weren't in school, kids were missing out on that. And then you see when we come back, there's just that something's different. Not only were their academic skills lacking because they haven't been in the classroom on a regular basis, but just some of those social skills were lacking as well. And then you could also see the impact that, like, it hit different families in different ways. I consider myself to be incredibly blessed. I was receiving a paycheck the entire time. I was not threatened to be evicted from my home or lose my business or anything like that. I was safe, and I had what I needed. Not everybody did. And when you see, then you're getting into those family dynamics and what are kids being exposed to, the types of things they're being exposed to that have an impact on their mental health. I don't want to I'll ramble forever if you
I know, man, it's good stuff.
Natural pause is, but you just, or so if you ever need to cut me off, but I'll tell you, I'll talk and talk and talk, man. But I see this stuff, I live it. And then I listen to things like, I listened to a podcast recently that talked about complex trauma and the impact it has on the human brain, the science of how it changes the brain of a child when they go through severe neglect or abuse, and we have children who experience that in Bethalto. If you think we don't, come hang out with me for a day here, you see it. And just, what that does to a child and their mental health growing up, if they can't start to reverse that or fix that in some way, then they're going to struggle mightily. And then you see that develop later on in life in adults as addiction problems or, workaholics, high stress, anxiety, things like that. They're really just they're symptoms of, complex trauma that person experienced as a child.
One thing I want to go back on what you said, and I think I said this a couple of days ago in a podcast, is in school, it's what this quote said. In schools, we're kind of taught, basically, everything is taught to us of how to get a job, but we're never really taught how to be happy. You know what I'm saying? Which is probably way more important. It's not the education system's problem. It's just, what I'm saying, just how it's been, how it's always been.
And even in, like I said, I just finished my 15th year in this district. And and I've been the principal here at Parkside for 6 years now, an administrator for 3 or 4, about 10 years, an administrator. And I've seen a change, in the way things are. There's a shift. Obviously, there's a shift in just what people are wanting to get out of school or what people expect to get out of school. And you'll see those random Facebook posts every now and then, like, oh, instead of teaching me algebra, they should have taught me how to do my taxes. Well, they did. You just didn't pay attention to that class. It's a required class at CM. I don't know what they call it. They used to call it resource management or whatever, but they teach that in that class. But what I see is it feels like the burden has been shifted more onto the schools to help teach kids how to be kind, how to regulate their emotions, how to be a good person, because being a good person is going to take you a lot further in life than, a really high test score. It just is.
Yeah, Sal, I couldn't agree with that anymore. It
might not be something you expect to hear come out of a principal's mouth, but I do. I mean, I work with 7, 8, 9-year-olds here at Parkside primarily, and I am far more concerned with them being good people than I am them being excellent readers or writers or mathematicians. That's going to come. They're going to get it. Being in school, obviously you have some students who struggle, and we identify and we provide intervention, but we also do the same thing for behavior and social emotional issues, provide support and intervention for students who struggle with that, because again, ultimately, we're working with people. They're not robots. We're not programming them to go off and do jobs, right? We're working with people who we should be teaching and helping learn to be good people, to go out and work with other people, to help keep our community, our country, our world a good place for everybody to live in. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. I tell kids here at Parkside every single day, the most important thing in this world is the way we treat each other. That's really all that matters at the end of the day. I tell them, when you're old like me, because to them I'm really old,
right?
That's what you're going to be thinking about. You're going to look back and remember people. You're going to have memories from school about people because of the way they treated you, not because of what you learned from them or what they taught you or what grade you got on something. You're going to remember those teachers because of the way they made you feel. And that's really what it's all about. We lose sight of that far too often, in my opinion.
One thing you said in our messages, and I've heard you use this phrase today, is emotional regulation. What do you mean by emotional regulation?
I mean, feelings, right? We all have them. The ones that I think we see, we're most in touch with are when we're happy, right? Or when we're angry. Those are two. Anxious, but what I see in children is a growing number of kids who are unable to regulate. And, I'm feeling so happy that I'm bouncing off the walls, I'm up out of my seat, messing with everything, or I'm blurting out, or I'm so mad that I'm losing my temper and I'm clearing my desk and throwing everything down. It's like, and I tell them all the time, I have this conversation on a daily basis. It's okay to be mad. There's nothing wrong with being mad. You should never tell someone you shouldn't be mad, right? That's a feeling. It's natural. You feel that way. It's what you do with that emotion that can either, make you or break you, that will determine whether it's a good outcome or a bad outcome. It's how so just being able to regulate like that. But you have to be aware of the emotion in order to be able to regulate it. And a lot of kids aren't even aware of how they're feeling. And that's something that I've really gotten into here within this last, 6 months to a year probably, is just being so much more aware of how I feel, which isn't something that, I was always thinking about or aware of, but how am I feeling, and can I identify why I'm feeling that way? And then what can I do to make sure that feeling doesn't control me, that I'm in control of that feeling instead of it controlling me? Because if we just all get angry and turn into the Hulk, that's not good for anybody. And so that's what I mean by emotional regulation, just being able to feel a certain way, recognize that that's how I feel, but then regulate myself so I'm not just acting on that emotion.
And you talked about staff and the staff's mental health. I when we go back to COVID, I mean, COVID was as hard on teachers as it was on students. Parents don't realize just the stress and things that teachers, because teachers, 99.9, most of them care so freaking much. And they know by, doing this online, this Zoom things, they know what their students are missing out. And saying that was very hard on them. And I think coming back, out of COVID, out of lockdown, I think that students just kind of came back a little, for the lack of better words, a little wilder. You know what I'm saying? Making the life of teachers much harder. And I think we see teachers kind of quitting at an alarming rate. We see, and going into different professions and leaving. What can you say to teachers? What are you doing? Like, I know you're like you said, you're a big proponent of this. What are you doing to try to help that? And what can be done to help these teachers? What's the solution? I don't know. I'm just throwing things out at you, but
yeah. So, but though, I mean, those are all absolutely valid points that are that.
And let me say this real quick. And I also feel like that there's been a giant shift, and this has not just been since COVID or this is 10 or 15 years, but there's been a giant shift of where, like, if I did something at school and the teacher or the principal or someone called my mom automatically sided with the teachers, with the school. She didn't want to hear one word out of my mouth of why or my excuse or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was getting in more trouble at home than I was at school for whatever I've done. And I feel like there's been a giant shift where parents, they automatically side with their kid. Well, Mrs. Smith, she just doesn't like me, or, little Johnny Stark, they automatically get mad at the staff. They automatically get mad at the teacher. They just side with their kid. You know what I'm saying? We all know their kid's probably a little shithead, and it's like they automatically side with the kid instead of the parents. Have you seen that? I know you don't want to make any parents mad, but
no, yeah, hey, but I will say absolutely, and again, that I don't think that you could see that happening even long before COVID.
Long time, yeah. This isn't new.
Yeah, it's not new at all, and maybe it's
worse.
As I'm listening to you talk, I think, well, maybe the Todd Loxes of the world who are so ticked off that, mom never believed me. She always believed the teacher. They grow up as parents and say, well, I'm going to believe my kid now. When my kid says that they didn't do it, I'm going to believe them. I don't know. It's just, you see that shift happening, but there is a lot more of that, where you see, and what the result is you have teachers who are now becoming hesitant to reach out to the parent because they're afraid of that backlash, where it used to be, I know if I call mom's got my back, and little Johnny's going to be in trouble at home also. Right now, right. What you're seeing is, well, I don't know if I should call mom because last time I mentioned something, she got mad at me. And so then the communication breaks down. So at some point you're going to be forced to call when something big happens, and then it's going to be an even bigger deal. That's why I always stress to teachers to reach out. They used to get annoyed with me because I was all about call every parent, right? Before the school year starts, call them, make that connection, let them know you're happy to have their kid in class. But anymore, I don't think people want to be called, So I'm like, well, text, do something, but reach out to that parent, let them know, hey, I'm your kid's teacher. I'm thrilled to have them in my class. I'm going to keep in touch with you, whether it's good or bad. And then once you've established that relationship, then it's a lot easier to make that phone call when that kid's messing up. But I completely agree. I've seen that over the years. There's much more, a lot of the parents are more on the side of their kid regardless. And what I see is a lot of parents who don't want their kid to experience any adversity at all. And they think that by eliminating adversity and obstacles from their child's life, that they are making a better life for their child. They're making a better life for them today. But what is the future going to look like when they have no ability to navigate adversity? Because once you're out of school, right, it's not the principal or the teacher calling mom, right? It's you. It's all on you. And there will be adversity. Nothing's going to be perfect. You're going to have obstacles, and you're going to need to be able to face a challenge and work through it. It's just the way it is. So I do feel like there are some parents who are setting their children up for, I won't say failure, but a much more difficult life than it has to be by not allowing them to experience any adversity. It's just like,
I think the good intention is there, and I've said this on
100%.
I think the good intention is there. Parents are like, you know what? I don't want my kid to struggle like I struggle. I don't want my kid to lack in anything like I lacked in, you know what I'm saying? As far as money or a car or just, you know, the things I want to give them what I never had. Well, the reason you're probably successful this day is because you struggled, because you didn't get everything you wanted. You know what I'm saying? And now we're just giving them, not making them work for the things they have, and they're turning into little brats. I say that.
Hey.
Aaron Kilpatrick did not say that. Todd did that. You know what I'm saying? But it's the learning is in the struggle.
Yes, I mean, I think there's a quote. I don't know who said it, but something along the lines of you know, that hard times make tough men make easy times make weak men, something along those lines. But I think that's exactly what we're talking about, is that, you know, so many parents are wanting to make life easier for their kid, but in turn, what they're doing, they're making their childhood great. But when that child's an adult and everything doesn't go their way, well, then you're gonna reap what you sow.
Right. I think we are, and I don't want to go in this with you too much at all, but I'll just say, like back in my day, we got swatted, okay, and I'm not saying bring back swats,
right?
What, man? There's no better teacher than pain. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you get one swat, and you're not doing that again.
I'm pretty sure they called it a paddling down where I'm from, and I'm pretty sure they still do that. But I never had to get one, but just the idea of my PE coach, Coach Ellis, who was, he was probably 5'9" at the time, but he seemed like he was about 6'5", you know. Right. But the thought of him hitting me with that paddle kept me on the straight and narrow.
Or you saw the result of him hitting someone else and the whack and the kid coming in crying. You know what I'm saying? He's a home teacher.
Absolutely.
You know, what are you seeing like with parents as far as mental health and how, what are you doing to combat? I don't want to say combat that. That's probably the biggest word. But what are you doing to help them, like with just the world how it is today?
You know, it's less direct with parents, you know, like obviously in my career, I've had, you know, some less than pleasant phone calls or meetings, you know, and again, what you see that, you know, the struggle to regulate emotions, you know, something happens, they become angry over the result or whatever it is that happened. And rather than be able to, you know, just have a conversation and speak rationally and resolve conflict in a peaceful, productive way, it's a fly off the handle. I'm going to cuss you out. I'm going to call the school board or something like that, you know, and you just, you know, rarely is that necessary. You know, most things can be resolved by just having a conversation over the phone or sitting down and talking. And I think what you see more is, you know, that a lot of parents don't realize what they are modeling to their child. You know, kids learn a lot from what we're telling them, but they learn far more from what they're showing them by the way we behave. That's really the way human beings learn to behave, not from what you're telling them, but from what they're seeing the adults around them do. And unfortunately, what you see is a lot of yelling and fighting and cursing when there's a disagreement or a conflict. A lot of, you know, treatment of people in the community that way. Like, you know, if somebody cuts you off, you're flipping them off and honking at them. Or if, you know, if the waitress doesn't refill your tea as quickly as you like, you're calling her bad names and leaving her a crappy tip. You know, it's just that you are teaching your child how to be a person when you're doing things like that. So everything, it doesn't matter what you're telling them. It's just like telling your kid, you know, don't smoke, but then they see you, you know, sneaking out and smoking one. You know, they're learning way more from what they see you do than from what they hear you say. And so that's what you see, and you see it manifest in the child at school. And so you can look at, a lot of times you can interact with the child and see the way they behave and the way they interact with others, and kind of have a good idea what the life at home must be like, because they are learning from the people who are modeling it to them. And a lot of parents, I really believe, have no idea what they're teaching their children just in what they're modeling to them. They think that what they're telling them is what's important, but really it's what you're showing them just in your day-to-day interactions with them, with your spouse, you know, with community members. That's how they're learning, from what they're seeing you do. So I come combat a lot of that here at Parkside with mindfulness, with just, yeah, this may sound crazy, but I feel like the world needs we need a new Mr. Rogers, you know? And sometimes deep down in myself, I'll say, you know what? I'm the freaking 2024 Mr. Rogers right here.
I love that.
You know, because I look back to the message that man shared. I used to watch Mr. Rogers as a kid all the time. You know, that's back when I had 3 channels. You know, it was that, or, you know, some fishing report, you know. So, but I just think about the impact, you know, like we need more people, especially more adult males, telling kids, hey, be nice to each other. It's cool to be kind. You know, you want to treat everybody with kindness and respect, because that's what everybody deserves. And also that's what kind of person you want to be, you know. And so we spend a lot of time here at Parkside working on just that. You know, we have character meetings once a month where I meet with each, you know, the whole grade level at a time, 2nd grade and 3rd grade. And we talk about the character ed words of the month and what that means, what it looks like, you know. So to answer your question about how we combat that, and I'll use that word combat because it is a fight sometimes, you know. I consider it, you know, it's my obligation to make sure that what we're doing at Parkside is you know, good for kids and good for our community. And it's not just about the reading, the writing, and the math. Like I said, it's about being a good person, being a good citizen, a good community member. And, you know, somebody has to teach that. Why not us?
Why not you? I see, and I also see Bethalto do this a lot, and I see it on, they make social media posts of like positive referrals of things kids have done, not an academic achievement, not of an athletic achievement, but like of something they've done to be nice, to spread kindness. And I can't remember what they call it, but they give these little rewards or certificates for someone, like a teacher has spotted a kid being nice to another kid. I think that's great. We both know positive reinforcement is a good thing.
Absolutely. You see it middle school, high school. I think they do call it a positive referral, where it's almost like the opposite of getting written up for something negative. You know, you're getting written up for something positive. Down at the elementary levels, here at Parkside, we have what we call an Eagle Way Award, because a big part of what we do at Parkside, it's all systematic. Is we teach kids what we call it the Eagle Way. It's being respectful, being responsible, being safe, being cooperative. That's the Eagle Way, essentially. And so we give out Eagle Way Awards to kids, and any staff member that, you know, that witnesses any kid doing anything that aligns with the Eagle Way, whether it's academic, behavioral, whatever it is, then they can, you know, submit one of those awards, and then I'll present it to the kid in the morning at our morning meeting, you know, take their picture. I haven't been as good about getting that stuff out on our social media here recently, just because of the way my schedule went, because I was working in a couple of schools for the last 3 months of the year. But typically at the end of the week, I'll post those pictures, you know, those kids with their Eagle Way Awards. And it's absolutely that. It's positive reinforcement. You know, we see you doing good things, and we want to recognize you for it, because we want you to feel good from doing it. And hopefully you'll do it again.
Do they get a free Smoothie King?
No, we don't give them a Smoothie King or anything here. Really, they just get that, you know, they get that little certificate that, you know, it's got their name on it. I try not to get too crazy with the rewards, because ultimately you want that stuff to become intrinsic. You know,
yeah, it's like once you get out in the real world, you're not actually just going to get it. Like someone's not going to hand you an award for it. Obviously, the award is
you were nice to somebody doesn't mean you get a free smoothie. Yeah, we want them to want to be nice. You know.
So with the mental health, with the mental health, I feel like it's a crisis. It's a crisis in the world. It's a crisis in the schools. It's not, like I said, it's not just a school thing. It's a world thing. And I've put some statistics up in the last month. But are we winning? Are we winning in schools? Are we winning the mental health crisis battle?
I would say this. I can only
is it swinging the other way. Is it coming back?
I can only speak to Parkside, because to truly know what's going on in any school, you have to be in that school. And I've spent, like I just alluded to it, I spent the last 3 months of the year splitting my time between Parkside and Meadowbrook. And so I can speak to both those schools, and I say absolutely we're winning. Absolutely. Kids are, overall, Parkside is a happy place for kids. And ultimately that's and when you boil it all down, that's really all I want it to be. I want this to be a place where kids, where their face lights up when they come through the doors, because they know that when they get here, that everyone here is going to be nice to them. They're going to help them, and they're going to be able to learn and grow, right? That's what, I mean, again, these kids are in 2nd and 3rd grade. And so ultimately that's the goal for Parkside, to be a place where kids can come, feel welcomed, supported, cared about, and feel that they can learn and grow here. And I feel like we have that. Absolutely. We've got a great staff that cares about kids. They're, we serve a great population. Bethalto's a great town. I mean, I'm not from here, but I've lived here for going on, I don't know, about 16 years now, something like that. It is my home. I consider this my home. I've got 3 kids. One's already out of school. 2 are still in this school district. And I say, absolutely, we are winning. Our schools are good places for kids. They really are. But that doesn't mean the work's done. Of
course not. Of course not.
I'm constantly looking to learn and grow more about what can I do specifically for those reasons. Like we have, the amount of resources that we provide now as a school district for those social emotional concerns is night and day different than when I first started in the school district. Like we have a school psychologist and a social worker in every school building. We have, we've hired some behavior interventionists. I feel like we are doing more mindfulness. I didn't know what mindfulness was, before I got to Parkside, and now it's a part of my daily life, professionally and personally. It's just, I feel like, and you'll hear a lot of people say kids are different these days. I don't think kids are different. Kids are kids. We're just little people. The world they're growing up in is what's different. And it's not fair to them, that we are constantly distracted by everything, boredom. These kids don't know how to be bored anymore. If there's no screen or something beeping or that they can tap, or they don't know what to do with themselves. And that's not a good thing. It's a different world they're growing up in. And so they are responding to that world, and it's tough, but I feel like we have a lot of good things in place in schools to help. I really do. I feel great about what we do here.
I feel like as a teacher these days, the best way if you were try to get a student to learn is make little reels, like a reel of each little segment.
Shorter. They do. The attention spans are shorter and shorter. You do see a lot more. You see a lot more, short lessons, followed by a lot of teachers do what they call brain breaks, where they throw something up on YouTube, and kids get up out of their seat and they move a little bit and they just react to the video, and then you get right back to it, but you have to do things differently. The days of, 30 kids just sitting in rows like this, listening and taking notes, those days are long gone.
Yeah. Attention spans are just so much shorter.
Oh yeah.
We're going to go through, I'm going to read some comments real quick. Justin Brown says, "Bravo Zulu Kirkpatrick." Guess that was a military reference.
Close enough on the name, but yeah, okay.
Whitney Daniel says, "Mr. K is the best. We'll miss him next year." Julie Brooks, who is a teacher, she says, "Such an important discussion. We see this every single day in the school setting. We're seeing more and more kids unable to simply manage their feelings."
Yeah, it's a big part of it right there, that emotional regulation.
Cody Beck, I love that you're such a listener these days. You helped me get my start in podcasting, and now anyway, he says he has teachers, and then he's got the little better than most people thing. Agreed. Cody again says, "I agree with everything you're saying, Todd. However, I would always side with the teacher if you were my kid." The road to hell. Don't know what that means. Tammy Ascara says, "Great conversation."
Yes.
Bob Hill, "I am. Bring it back." I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe swatting. Who knows? Carrie Denny, who's in Bethalto School District, she says, "Great listen." Carrie Denny, who I'm sure is what a great teacher she is.
Yes, yeah, sure.
Mike Young, "This month has been full of awesome interviews. Tough topic. Thank you to everyone that did a segment. Very informative. You are all the best. Have a great day. Beast mode, everyone." Don Locke says, "Mr. K is one of the best Thanks for all you do for our kids, especially BK.
Oh, she's great. I love her.
And I heard Brooklyn is a great, she's just like a rule follower and a great kid in school, which is from her home life.
That is very common, very common for kids to behave like angels at school, but then they've held it in all day. So they cut loose when they get home. It's no different than us at work,
Yeah.
I do my best at work, then I get home and maybe I relax a little bit.
Cody Beck, hell yeah, Mr. Rogers. Carrie Denny, Mr. Rogers was the best.
He was.
Let's set the tone. Angie Betts, thank you for addressing the hard topic. This is a passion of mine. Mr. Rogers and I have talked in the past. Laugh out loud. Let's be the change that schools need to see.
Shout out Angie Betts right there. I don't know. I haven't seen her or talked to her in a long time, but I know she used to work in the Roxana School District. I actually visited there years ago when I was a high school administrator to look at, they had like this alternative to like detention or ISS, where it was more just kind of they really were, it was about relationships, and giving kid a safe space to come and talk to somebody, when something was happening, instead of them just automatically being in trouble, or having some consequence or punishment. It was a chance for them to get it out and talk about what was going on. So, heck yeah.
I like that. Maybe it's like you go and you sit in, like, what do they call it now? ISS. What is that?
Yeah.
And you sit there after school. We call it detention. You go sit in detention and basically just sit there in silence and do nothing and just be pissed off. You know what I'm saying?
Being pissed off doesn't make you not do what you did.
No, it doesn't. I'm plotting. I was always plotting what I was going to do next. But if you brought the students in who were maybe in detention and we kind of got to the point, like, why did you do that?
That's exactly what it was. That's
bring out the root of the problem.
You're seeing that more now, and our district's actually brought some people in to talk about that and do some teaching on that. It's called restorative practices, right? Like, because we've seen and consequences don't change behavior. They don't. That restorative piece, that conversation about what you did and who it impacted, because a lot of times kids aren't even thinking about that. They make a poor choice. They don't even think about who all that choice impacts and what the real result of that choice is. So simply punishing a child, taking away their recess or giving them attention is not going to change that behavior. It's that restorative practice. So that's why we spend a lot of time talking with kids and having them talk to each other. 2 7-year-olds can have a conversation with each other about, why I got mad and why I kicked you. They just need someone to help facilitate that. And that's a far more impactful on their future behavior than just, you're in trouble, you have to sit out in from recess.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Principal Kilpatrick, we've done 47 minutes, my friend.
Doesn't feel like it at all.
What's that?
It doesning feel like it at all.
We didn't. Well, you'll have to promise me to come back, and I put you on here, and I'm just throwing bombs at you left and right. But hey, thank you. Like, it sounds like I've said, even before you were on, I've just heard of what a great principal you are, how caring you are, how you're not just like cooped up in your office out all day. You're out there amongst the staff. You're out there amongst the students, talking to them, seeing them, and just saying. I feel like there's administrators out there who just run and hide. They're not out there. They want to be out there in the wild west of it all. They hide in their office. And I heard you are the exact opposite of that.
Well, the best part of this job is the kids. So if I'm hiding in my office, I'm missing out on the best part of this job, because the part of my job that I do sitting at this desk is not what brings me the joy and the rewards for doing it. It's not at all. It is those kids. So that's why I love.
Right. Thank you very much for what you do, just being out there on the front lines, and you know what I'm saying. And I liked how you said, like, those 7 to 9-year-olds, the second and third graders, man, that is our future. You know what I'm saying? We teach them to be kind and make the world a little better place. I mean, that's where it starts. That's where we should be molding. So I love what you're doing, brother. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We got to do it again. This time I'm going to give you a specific topic and let you roll with it, brother.
I'm down anytime. I thoroughly enjoyed this, man.
All right. Thank you, sir. And we will talk soon. I'll see you at Circuit sometime soon.
How about Saturday?
I love that. All right. Thank you, brother.
All right, Todd. Appreciate it.
What a great man. That was, I was blown away by that. And just what I've heard so many people in the Bethalto school just talk about Mr. Kilpatrick and how awesome he is. I'm going to do some birthday shout outs real quick. Brooke Neese is a former Campsville Cougar. Happy freaking birthday. Carol Threckhold up in Chicago. I hope your brother Chris sent you something real nice. Jay Waters, happy freaking birthday. Alan Campbell, happy freaking birthday. Aaron Ventimiglia, happy birthday. AJ Steemack, happy birthday. I'm sure Kathy did something really nice with. And Corey Becker, happy birthday. My connection up there in Madison County. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grow with myself, Todd Locks. Thanks for going with us, and slay on.